Welcome back to the Every Single Oasis Single series on the Girls Like Rock 2 podcast. My name is Sarah. This is my sister, Katie.
Hello.
We are going through every single Oasis single on the Girls Like Rock 2 podcast this year to keep the Oasis vibes alive in 2026. Katie and I are big Oasis fans. We saw them last year when they played Toronto for their reunion tour. And we thought this would be just a really great journey to go through all the singles in chronological order. We are now into the new millennium. We have released Go Let It Out, so we are on to the second single of the Sot Sog era, which is, Katie?
Who Feels Love? One of my top 10 Oasis songs.
That's right. This was one of your top 10.
One of my top 10.
Yes.
Always loved this song.
It's a good song.
It is a good song.
It's, yeah, I've always liked Who Feels Love too. And I just think it really suits as the third, where it sits on the album.
Yeah.
And just kind of the new direction of where Oasis are going with this album.
Yeah. Because Who Feels Love is one of my top 10 favorite Oasis songs, I said to Sarah, why don't I take the reins for this episode and talk about Who Feels Love. So I have a few tidbits. I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of tidbits on Who Feels Love. I find once you get out of the Morning Glory Be Here Now era, there isn't as much on each song.
I think as we go through up to Falling Down, we are going to do it. The length of these episodes are going to get shorter and shorter.
Yeah. No, it's true. I did find some material on
Let's
it, though.
do it. I'm super curious.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's start with the release date. Who Feels Love was released on April 17th, 2000. So just about 2 months after the release of the album.
That's right. Yeah.
2 months, roughly 2 months after Go Let It Out. So
Yes.
this was the second single from Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, as Sarah mentioned earlier. Sarah, this song peaked at 4 on the UK singles chart.
Oh, okay.
Which means this is the first single since Cigarettes and Alcohol for Oasis to not reach top 3.
Really? Wow. Okay. Number 4's pretty good, but yeah, looking at their track record of their last two singles went to number 1.
Yeah.
Right? All Around the World and Go Let It Out.
Yep.
So,
And number 4, still very good for an average band.
Yes, I'm sure
I would
many
love if our
bands-
YouTube was the top 4th watched.
that would be pretty nice. Yeah. Oh,
but
yeah,
for a
that's still-
band that was as big as it was, kind of shows maybe the decline of their popularity. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another big disappointment, in my opinion, as someone who put this as one of their top 10 Oasis songs. Sarah, this is the first single we've covered that did not make the Rolling Stone top 40 Oasis songs.
Really? It's not on there. Oh,
No,
I thought.
and I checked every other Oasis song we've covered so far for Every Single Oasis Single series has made it. And
Interesting.
Who Feels Love did not make it.
Wow. If I were to do a personal top 40 Oasis songs, I think I would include Who Feels Love.
Yeah, I included it on my top 10.
Yeah, made your top 10.
And I looked over it twice. If you've been following along, you'll be familiar. If this is your first episode, which it probably isn't because this is a super random song to first come on.
I would think, yeah, you've probably...
We've been talking about the Rolling Stone and how they released the top 40 Oasis songs in 2024 to commemorate Oasis getting back together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was shocked. I'm like, okay, what number is it for my tidbits? Looking. And I'm like, oh, wow, it's just not on the list.
Wow. Just not there,
Nope.
eh?
And Go Let It Out was number 39.
Just makes it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I have a feeling our next single, I don't know if that made it on there. We'll have to check.
I don't remember, but I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised and I wasn't. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people have criticized this song.
Yeah. Yeah.
I read a few bad reviews.
Yeah.
Musically, this song was influenced by the Beatles, which is no shocker.
Yeah, for sure.
And I read that it was particularly George Harrison's mid-60s music where he used a lot of the sitar.
Oh, yeah. I can see
song
that
was
for
influenced
sure.
by.
Yeah.
Noel also admitted to copying the descending guitar riff in the bridge of Who Feels Love from the main guitar riff in the Beatles' Dear Prudence.
Oh.
I've heard of the song, but I never actually listened to Dear Prudence.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've listened to the Beatles.
I listened to it a little bit. I just kind of briefly listened to a few seconds.
Yeah.
I could see the similarities.
Okay.
I didn't think they sounded exactly the same.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, at least Noel admitted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely has a 60s feel to it.
The 60s psychedelic.
Who Feels Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can definitely see the relation to the Beatles mid 60s when they kind of reinvented themselves. And this is Noel's reinvention.
Yeah, totally.
A big theme, Sarah, of Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, which we actually didn't cover in our last episode when we talked about Go Let It Out, is Noel's sobriety.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think this is interesting because this is a huge contrast to 1997's Be Here Now, which critics and fans often comment about Noel's heavy drug use during the time of that album's release.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's the cocaine rock and roll album.
Rock and roll album. Some people think that's great and it made great music. Other people disagree and thought it was too long and too drawn out. Be Here Now. So we talked a lot in our last episode with Go Let It Out about the new era of Oasis. New record label, new bandmates, new logo. Yeah. And this is a huge new era for Noel Gallagher as a man and a songwriter being sober.
Yeah, that's right. Kind of working through that. Alan White said something I watched. I think it's called the Let's All Make Believe documentary. I mentioned it on our last episode. He kind of said, like, you just get tired of the partying and the drugs all the time.
I can only imagine.
And I think just getting a bit older, getting into your 30s, you start kind of reflecting on the things you did in your 20s. And it's hard to keep up with that partying lifestyle as well. I remember getting into my 30s and a couple of wild nights where I'm like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Oh, well, we all say
in
that.
Your 20s, right?
Yeah, in your 20s, you can drink like a half a bottle of vodka and you feel great the next day and
roll out of bed and you go to work.
You have a glass of wine and the heartburn's just raging and the headache. But I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I can see that. You can feel that in Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, especially Who Feels Love.
Especially Who Feels Love, Gas Panic.
Yeah, Gas
That's
Panic.
That's a very personal song for Noel talking about weaning off drugs.
I was going to say, I shouldn't laugh, but like, where did it all go wrong? It's right there.
Where did it all go wrong? Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right, though. Yeah.
I came across an article from 2000 in The Guardian, and journalist Lindsay Baker wrote about Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. I just thought I would mention it. I thought it was an interesting explanation. And, quote, "It's not a radical departure, and Noel's songwriting style remains the same, but Standing on the Shoulder of Giants is more subtle than his predecessors, more of a, quote, grower, and sounds perceptibly more modern than the previous 3 albums." I want to know what Baker means by grower. Do they mean it has to grow on you, or just the Oasis grew themselves?
That's a good point. I took it as it has to grow on you as the listener. But you're right. Oasis are growing up a bit at this time and getting more self-reflective, a little introspective.
Introspective, definitely.
Especially in the lyrics of Noel.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. Now, it does grow on you, Standing on the Shoulder of Giants.
It does.
It does.
It does. For me, I liked this album from the get-go.
Yeah. I like how she said it sounds modern.
Yeah.
Because I thought it did at the time. Like I think I mentioned this for Go Let It Out. Sounds fresh.
Yeah.
I thought so.
I also like the description of more subtle than his predecessors.
Yeah, definitely more subtle.
Again, to go back to the contrast to Be Here Now, that one, the colossal record. Loud guitars,
very different.
Oh, even All Around the World, that was his epic song.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to just now have Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, which it was kind of more subtle. Go Let It Out. It's not a crazy rock and roll track.
No, and we mentioned this the last episode. Noel wrote the first 3 albums, he said, before they even had a record deal.
Yep.
This one was written in real time, if you will.
Well, that's
right?
a good, Sarah, that's a good segue into my next point. So Who Feels Love was written after a trip to Thailand that
Okay.
Noel took with his then wife, Meg Matthews.
Oh, okay.
And in that Guardian article I previously mentioned, Noel Gallagher discussed a lot about how sobriety, it affected his relationship with Meg, because Noel explained that him and Meg, the start of their relationship was all revolved around drugs. They were both
Yeah.
they were both not sober all the time. So he said that they had never hung out sober. So him and Meg took this trip to Thailand.
Wow. Okay, and they took the trip to Thailand to be sober, I guess.
I think to actually hang out as a sober couple and kind of
It
ask
is
themselves,
different.
do we get along? Do we like each other?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Who Feels Love, it was in particular influenced by a visit to a temple that they went to.
Okay.
And Noel said that this visit to the temple made him feel better about his marriage.
Oh. That's
So
cool.
he wrote, quote, or he said in the article, quote, "It was the calm after the storm. I suppose I was feeling at one with the world." He said he had become reacquainted with his wife. And then Noel says, quote, "It was like, yeah, she is cool. And I do actually like her. I love her."
Oh. And that whole feeling inspired Who Feels Love.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
that's really cool. I didn't know that.
totally get, because even when we talked about it being one of my favorite Oasis songs, I kind of mentioned like it gives me church vibes, which I know can come across as an odd explanation for a rock and roll song, but it's then you said, oh, spiritual. And I'm like, that's it, just spiritual.
Spiritual. Yeah.
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 So I completely understand how Noel was inspired to write this song after visiting a temple in Thailand.
Yeah. No, for sure. Definitely. That's really cool story, Katie. I didn't know that.
No,
about
I didn't
Who Feels
either. No,
Love.
this Guardian article is actually quite interesting. And a lot of people have commented that this song is about finding peace and leaving ego behind.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Because,
definitely.
yeah, the lines like leaving all that I see, which maybe is the
Yeah.
chaos of their fame, and then take a thorn from my pride. That has a lot to do with
yeah.
ego.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yep.
And I found, Sarah, sometimes when you look up music videos on YouTube, or any video for that matter, you come across the comments and some of them really stick out to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure.
And I mentioned when we did Stand By Me a few episodes ago how that one man wrote that his wife died from COVID and the song helped him get through.
Yeah.
So then I came across for Who Feels Love, at the top of the comments was this comment from just a couple years ago. So it wasn't even during the height of Who Feels Love. And
Right.
this YouTube comment says, the person who wrote this YouTube comment said that he was in the hospital and he had a newborn daughter and she died soon after being born.
Oh my gosh.
And then he wrote that he randomly came across Who Feels Love on the TV at the hospital when he was mourning over the loss of his daughter. And this person wrote on this comment that he found the song was encouraging me to move on rather than give up.
Wow.
Isn't that just like a powerful comment?
Powerful.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that made me like the song even more.
Oh my gosh. That's
Then
amazing.
From reading this comment, I read some of the replies, and this other person actually wrote such a powerful song. To me, it's all about embracing all that we are and all that we go through, because if we feel love, we feel love. That was another YouTube comment.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I thought that was
Wow.
just interesting. It was, and with us doing this series, Sarah and I always end with our own personal take on songs. And I've just been loving reading other people's personal takes on these songs.
Yeah, I love that you look at the comments. I'll definitely have to do that.
Yeah.
With that, there was part of this documentary. I watched a clip of Liam. He looks super young. This must be from a long time ago. And he said something about, I like that we write about, he's like, a lot of other bands write kind of more like depressing music. And he's like,
And they're not.
yeah. And he's like, I like to write, that's Noel writing, but he's like, we try to be a lot more positive in our music.
Yeah.
And there is that power to being so positive into the music, and these stories that you shared just resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah.
It really means a lot.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that about Oasis.
Yeah.
A lot of comforting songs.
Comforting.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That, and I mentioned this before, and Noel has mentioned this, the feeling you get
Yeah.
from the songs.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I got goosebumps when I watched this music video again. And
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
and then I read, I've never seen this song live. I've seen Oasis live 4 times, but I don't believe, Sarah, I'd have to look back on the set list. I don't think I've ever actually seen this song live because I didn't see them on the Standing on the Shoulder of Giants tour.
They must have
You
played it. They must have played it then, yeah.
I was like, what does this song sound like live? Because I feel like it could be a very challenging song to play live.
Definitely.
So I looked up, and a few people said what somebody said, "Familiar to Millions," Wembley Arena.
That's right. Yeah, they
And
played
then
there. Yeah.
someone also recommended Jules Holland. So I watched that
Ooh,
one.
yeah.
It sounded amazing live.
Yeah.
They did a really good job of doing it live.
Yeah, Jules Holland, they were on point that night, the boys.
They were on point because,
Like-
man, I was enthralled listening to this or watching this on YouTube. Yeah.
I like how it is enthralling, this song.
Oh, yeah. It really just, it just hooks you.
Yeah.
Gets
yeah,
you
it
in.
does. Gets
Yeah.
you in. Oasis, I tell you. Gosh.
Let's, Sarah, talk about the EP.
Okay, let's do it.
I don't have any particular facts on the cover. I know what the cover is. It's that woman wearing the aviators.
That's
and,
right,
And
yeah.
I just thought it was interesting because when we talked about Go Let It Out, you mentioned how the scene of the people playing football is on.
Yeah,
And
that's
this kind of keeps up with that theme because the cover is in her aviators.
Yeah, it is a cool
Yeah.
cover. You're right. It's
Yeah.
in the, yeah.
Yeah,
is
that would
cool.
be a cool print to have on your wall.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Sarah also mentioned with Go Let It Out that there were new laws. So now there's only 3 tracks on the EPs when there used to usually be 4.
That's right. Yep.
The tracks on Who Feels Love, obviously number 1, Who Feels Love. Number 2, Sarah, do you remember the song One Way Road?
I did. It's not a standout for me.
No.
In the way that the 2 B-sides are from Go Let It Out, but it's a grower.
Yeah.
It's a grower.
Yeah.
I listened to it a few times this week.
Be honest, I didn't know this song. I'm sure it was played sometimes in our household.
Must
I
have
didn't
been.
really remember it at all.
I distinctly remember the cover of that single. So
I remember the cover, but I don't remember this one. So I listened to it, and with the lyrics, like, I want to get high, but I never could take the pain. I just thought how appropriate the sobriety journey of Noel.
Yeah, definitely.
It made a lot of sense to me. And
For sure.
I really liked this song.
Yeah, it's good.
Yep.
And it really suits in terms of being, I think it's a good B-side, and it suits with the vibe and the message of Who Feels Love.
Yeah.
Like it goes really well
Yes.
together. Who Feels Love and then One Way Road.
Yes, I really like the lines. As soon as they come, the feelings they go, all alone on a one-way road. And that really reminds me of, like, don't look back, you're not going that way.
I love when Noel gives that message, and he does a lot.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
And
Yeah.
it all just comes together. The sobriety journey, reaffirming his relationship with his wife,
Yeah.
totally new era of his band.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
just,
definitely.
I really appreciated the lyrics of this song, and I'll
Yeah.
definitely listen to it more.
Yeah. And that message, and I've mentioned this before with Noel Gallagher, wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
Right? That journey that you're on.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of, and I've talked about this before with Going Nowhere, is Enchanting Noel. Yeah. This is kind of enchanting too.
Yeah.
Noel, the way he sings. So yeah, I just thought of that
Yeah.
with this song.
And then number 3, a cover of Helter Skelter.
Helter Skelter is one of my favorite Beatles songs.
Okay.
So
I'm sure you appreciate the cover.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've really listened to the Beatles, but
Yeah.
listening to this, I think they do a really, really great version of Helter Skelter. And it's just one of my faves for the Beatles. I've always loved it. So I forgot that they did that. I was like, oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, I thought they hadn't done a cover for a little bit. Well, they
Yeah.
did Street Fighting Man. What was that for? All Around the World.
Oh, yeah,
But
that's
then
right. But
Go Let It Out. They did their all own material. And
yeah. And
why not throw in a Beatles cover?
well, and Helter Skelter is the White Album. So, and you mentioned this kind of on that journey, similarly to the Beatles, of a new era, experimenting with music. So maybe that's why he thought this would be a good fit.
Yeah. The music video. Boom, boom, boom.
Boy, does this ever take me back.
Yeah.
Was this, though, played that much on Much Music?
I don't think so, but I have vivid memories, Sarah, of watching it on the computer in our bedroom. So we must have had a download of it.
Watching it, I'm like, I remember this video.
Yeah.
So we must have downloaded it. Yeah.
Downloaded it, or maybe it was on, sometimes you could put the CD in your computer and there'd be bonus material. There must have been something like that.
Something, because I do remember it very well.
And I remember being, I don't know why, but I remember being really weird and like turning off all the lights and just watching this video in the dark. I think because it's just like meditative, right?
It is meditative.
Yeah.
And this is one where, wow, does the video ever suit the song?
Oh, it suits it so well. So I'd watched the videos over the years, but I always just kind of had it in the background. I hadn't really fully paid attention to it since I watched it originally as a young girl, 12-year-old. How fitting is this video for now, for like this time in our lives? So often now it's been said that we're on our phones too much. We're on the computers too much. AI is taking over the world.
Yeah.
So I love this video because it's a reminder to slow down, because at the beginning there's like really fast shots of the city and fast shots of cars.
Yeah.
Then they're in Death Valley in California in the desert. And just the contrast of the busy city to the simplicity of nature in the desert. And then I love how closer to the end, there's just scenes of like the guitar exploding and the computer exploding and the radio exploding. And I'm like, how appropriate is that for nowadays? How we focus on social media and our computers so much, and we need to just let it all explode sometimes and just take a walk in nature.
Yeah, and there's scenes of Oasis walking, and it's just them, like no instruments.
No instruments.
Like they're just really going for a walk.
Yeah.
And you're right, taking a break from all of that craziness. And the year 2000, this was like, they're kind of commenting on that, and you're right, it still holds relevance years later. It was the beginning of, we were, like you said, watching it on our computers, kind of starting to get glued to internet. Maybe high speed was slowly getting introduced.
Yeah.
So just the starting, and like
cell phones always having
just
cell phone
starting
on you.
that.
Yeah.
So you're right, kind of like thinking of that too. And Oasis, they would be, well, Gen Xers, kind of the era where in your 20s, you didn't have any of that.
No.
Like you don't see any of that in earlier Oasis music videos.
No.
And yet they're in their 30s, and this all kind of came about. So thinking of that too, as you're entering your 30s, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I got
it's
goosebumps
so
watching
much.
this video.
The shots
so
are really
good.
good, and they're in
Yeah.
the desert. They look great.
Yeah.
It's just funny, like Liam in that red leather jacket with those aviators. I'm like, this is so early 2000s.
Very early
That
2000s.
look.
Yeah, and like the kind of flared jeans with like
Yes,
those like
the flared
those like
jeans.
not
Yep.
not velvet shoes, but kind of suede.
Yeah, yeah, no.
shoes.
Very early
Yeah.
2000s. Yeah. Yeah.
And I commented, if you haven't watched, Sarah and I did a video on, or a YouTube clip on top 10 cozy songs. And I talked about Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
And Sarah commented how I just had to listen to that song going through the desert, and just watching Who Feels Love and in the desert. There's something so calming about being in the desert.
yeah,
Like any
definitely.
nature, but for me, I don't know, something about when we drove through Arizona, just driving through like the hardcore desert.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
And just such a different landscape to what we're used to
Yes,
here.
so maybe if you're
So
from
there's
Nevada,
that
you'd be
too.
like, I see that all the time, or
Yeah.
from Arizona. But
Yeah.
for me, just not being from there, it was just so therapeutic.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Something about being out in nature. Last night I was like just in this kind of park with the pond and the trees, and yeah, you're right. Like Who Feels Love would have been so fitting.
Yeah.
Sitting
Or
out here.
when you and I went to the Grand Canyon.
Oh my gosh.
That too, that
Yeah.
had a real hold on me, seeing the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah.
sure. The power of nature.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they're commenting on with Who Feels Love.
Yeah.
Being out in the desert, walking around. And like we said, like they don't have any, like there's nothing else. It's just Oasis.
Yeah. And that's kind of like Noel with the sobriety journey. There was nothing else. There was just
Yeah.
Noel.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
for sure.
really enjoyed watching this video as an adult.
It's very well
Yeah.
done. If it's been a while, sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
It's relaxing. It's very nice to just look at,
Yeah.
and really suits the song.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's the first video with Andy Bell.
Oh, that too. Yeah, that too.
So that's
And they all flowed
exciting.
together. All
They
five
do.
members.
They look. I always say this, but they look very good.
They do look good. Yeah.
all together. Yes.
Yeah. Sarah and I often talk about the songs, the singles of Oasis making the set list of the reunion tour. Who Feels Love? I think, unfortunately, it did not make it on the reunion tour.
That would have been cool.
Especially
Oh,
for
man.
us. Well, no, I think all the Oasis shows were outside, weren't they? All were outdoors at outdoor
Oh,
venues.
you know what? That's a good. I think so.
Just, man, imagine outside under the
yeah.
stars.
That's true.
I think that would have been such a good song
Oh my
live.
gosh! And like scenes of the desert for the video.
Oh,
for
the video would have been
visuals.
such good visuals.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so cool.
Yeah. So I think it's unfortunate, but
Yeah. Like midway.
yeah.
You're right, because it was. And I think I've said this before. It really okay. So when we saw them, it was quite dark out because by 8:30, 9 o'clock
It was, yeah.
in Toronto, it's like dark, and it was very romantic.
Yeah.
And the Who Feels Love would have really added to
Yeah.
that romance. But
Yeah.
what can we do?
What can we do?
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
So
No.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liam and Noel, hot tip.
Liam and Noel hot tip: include Who Feels Love on a
Do
set
it.
list.
Just do it.
Do it.
Oh, you know what? They could do kind of like Be Here Now, where they did the two Be Here Nows. Do like Go Let It Out, and then Who Feels Love.
Yeah, and then
Oh.
come back with like Rock and Roll Star, one of the old
Oh,
faithfuls.
that would have been really
Yeah.
that would be cool.
In terms of personal take and personal stories on this song, I don't have much more to add than what I've already said.
Yeah, me too.
I've used this song over the years, like for yoga. It's a
Sure.
very good song for yoga and meditation. I highly recommend.
yeah, definitely.
And as an adult, researching on the song, finding out the meaning behind it, finding out that Noel wrote it after a trip to Thailand, in particular, a visit to a temple, that made me like the song even more. It's really cool to read these background stories sometimes.
I'm gonna get, but I really like how he was inspired from a temple, because I'm judging Noel. I assume he grew up in a Irish Catholic household. So to be inspired by another kind of spiritual experience
Yeah.
and bring it into his music and his artwork.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like just kind of all of it. Not to get too woo woo about it, but this is a really cool song. And
It is.
And a big thing that we love from this series is re-listening to all these songs as adults. Right?
It's a trip.
It is. It's just such a different feeling to it.
Yeah.
So it's been so cool
Yeah.
to do that. And Who Feels Love is one of them. And when you're mentioning that, because it does have that kind of cool vibe. I don't know. I
And
like
even
it.
I love how Noel and Liam sing. Like they do sing in unison. You can hear Noel's voice in
they
it.
do.
And I think
Yeah,
that's really
yeah.
cool too.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
They work well, they just work so well
They
together.
do. Yeah. Yeah. With Go Let It Out, I mentioned how when I first heard that song, I didn't hate it, but I didn't really particularly like it. This one I always liked. Well, it's one of my top 10 Oasis songs.
I've always liked Who Feels Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yep. Even getting Standing on the Shoulder of Giants way back in the day as a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
I really liked this one.
Yeah.
And it goes so well in the album.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard this song ever, listen to it. And
You probably have heard it if
you're
clicked
this
on.
far in, you've probably heard
But
it.
give
if
it
it's-
another listen.
If it's been a while, listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dim the lights, put on a candle.
And put on the whole single. Like
Yeah.
do One Way Road as well.
Yeah. Oh, One Way Road. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Helter Skelter. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in for a treat.
You are in for a treat. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed hearing about Who Feels Love as much as I enjoyed researching about it.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. There was a few things I did not know, so gives new meaning and value to this song.
Yeah.
We have a lot more singles coming up for Oasis. We are only in the middle of Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, so a lot of great ones to
Explore.
thank you, Katie, to explore. That's right. We will see you in the next one.